Well, it's storytelling time. Well, my name is Linda Goss. I was born at the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. I come from Alcoa, ALCOA, which stands for the Aluminum Company of America. So everybody who was there in the town worked for the aluminum company, including my father and my grandfather. So I kind of grew up on storytelling. Storytelling is really a part of my life. It's who I am. It's a calling. And to me, it's like Brother Blue says, it's very sacred. And I'm very happy to be in this environment because Hopewell is a community support community. It's called Hopewell Cancer Support. And this is the place I found when I was diagnosed with cancer. And that has been a very much important part of my journey for the last 3 years. When I went to college, which was Howard University, Washington, D.C., I majored in theater because I didn't know anything about folklore. I never even heard of it, so I really wasn't telling stories. I kind of discovered my knack for telling stories while I was in college studying theater. My husband taught at Howard as well. Matter of fact, he was the first playwright in residence at Howard, and he was featured in Jet magazine. He was in a department called the Institute for Arts and Humanities. And this was created by Stephen Henderson. Stephen Henderson was interested in really documenting all of the Black experience. And he was one who said, we don't have anything on storytelling. And Clay told him, he says, well, my wife tells stories to our children. I'll see if she wants to come in and tell some stories. When I was at Howard, that was a part of the Black Arts Movement. So I was kind of like an activist. So to me, storytelling really was a radical political message, and announcing things that need to be done, talking about really a social change and social justice. Mother Mary Carter Smith, who is beloved, she is from Baltimore, and every time I would see her, we would talk about having a festival. I am the co-founder of the National Association of Black Storytellers that began in 1984. We had already had 2 festivals. The first festival was held here in Baltimore. The second storytelling festival was held in Philadelphia. And what happened is we had planned to stop after that, but the people in Philadelphia said, no, you cannot stop. And this was free, but people actually walked around and they took up collection. So the people called out for it, and we said yes, and I was drafted as the first president. This is Diane Macklin. This is my care angel. She takes very good care of me, and we have been studying together on a grant from the Maryland State Art Council. She's a master also, and I've learned a lot from her as well, and she's just a beautiful spirit, beautiful spirit.
Well, I'm Diane Macklin, and I am originally from upstate New York. I am the first generation of parents who are Great Migration. So my mama's from the heart of Mississippi, my daddy's from the bottom of Virginia. And you can take folk out of the South, but you can't take the South out of them.
Amen.
So while granted, I grew up in the North, I have a very Southern way and a Southern way of thinking about things. I did not know about storytelling. We never had a storyteller at our school. We never had an assembly of a storyteller until I was at Vassar College. She's a white teller. I just was enamored. But I was getting ready to do my senior year of college, and I lost her information. It seemed like a dream to be a full-time storyteller. And so I graduated, so I went to be an administrative coordinator for the Rural and Migrant Ministry that did peace and justice work for farm workers in upstate New York. One day my boss said, hey, would you like to meet my family? So I go over to his house. I walk in. His wife is the storyteller I met a year and a half ago. So I joined the Hudson Valley Storytelling Guild, and I remember she kept saying, you have to go to the National Association of Black Storytellers. And one day she tricked me and she said, hey, I've got some stories on the table. Why don't you pick one up? And I picked up The Sun and the Wind, and she said, you're gonna tell it. I said, no, I'm not. I can't do what you do. That was my first response. She said, of course you can. And then it came out of me like my breath. And I was like, wow. You could feel a creation happened. Went to the National Association of Black Storytelling Conference finally and saw what she meant. Because she said, there's certain things you can only learn by listening and being involved in. And when I went to the first NAB conference, it was like, this is what it's like to be with family. You know, we're not biologically related, but boy, are we related when it comes to the power of story, and that the story of who we are together is just as important as the stories that we're telling from our tradition. So when we get together, make it something that makes a difference.
We live in a culture of violence. And to me, to keep people from doing what they're doing, like going off, we have to hear their stories. We got to get them to tell their stories because they're crying inside. And as Zora Neale Hurston said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story. And that's what's happening in our society today.